All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to an exciting edition of How Do I Do This Anyway? Today we're looking at a loft block. So this is for 20 ISOs number 7. We're going to go through some new tools, so buckle up, let's go. We're going to go ahead and start back in Inventor. Right now I'm using 2026, but this should work for pretty much any Inventor. I'm going to go with just a new standard IPT part. So this will be measured and created in inches, etc., because we're not 3D printing this, so it doesn't really matter. Give it a moment to think. And yeah, we're there. So now I'm going to start a 2D sketch, and I'm going to start it on this XZ plane so it's sitting flat. So I've got a top view of it right now. I'm going to rotate that around so it makes more sense to me. And I'm going to just start out with a rectangle. I'm going to make sure that I have a coincidence constraint, so that green dot on my origin, and I'm just going to click and drag out a little bit, but then I'm going to go 10 inches by 5 inches because those are the dimensions. At least I think those are the dimensions. And now I'm going to finish that sketch, and I'm going to extrude by hitting E, and it's going to extrude the only thing that it can, and I'm going to go up 5 inches because I can't remember if it was 5 inches. I think that was supposed to be 4, but it won't really matter anyways. Okay, so now I've got this big rectangle, and I need to take a big honking chunk out of it. Let's see this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, that was wrong. Here, let's fix it. So I just edited the sketch. I'm going to right-click that. Now I double-clicked it. It popped up. Magic. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start making this big cleave out of the front. So I need my dimensions from the front. I'm going to go ahead and say that that's 1, and there's 1 remaining left there. Okay, so I'm going to go back into Inventor. I'm going to start a 2D sketch on that face. And note that it says the front there. I need to project some geometry. So I'm going to have to be able to reference the top of it and the side of it and the side of it in order to get the shape that I want. Don't do the bottom. Now I'm just going to grab my line tool, and I'm just going to click and drag, and then click and drag, and it looks ish. Okay. Now what I'm going to show you to do is using the trim tool. I'm going to make a coincidence constraint for that line right there at that point. So that end of that line is now stuck on that line of that geometry right there. I'm going to do the same thing over there because I need to make sure that this shape here is a nice closed shape. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my dimension tool, and I'm going to dimension from that edge to that, and I'm going to call it 1. And I'm going to do the same thing over on this side to just make life easier on me. There's other constraints we could do, but we're just going to do this for right now. Now I'm going to come up here and do a vertical constraint here. I'm going to set a vertical constraint between the intersect point there, and then I'm going to come up here and hover over this until I get to my midpoint. You see how it flashes green? Now I've got a vertical constraint with the midpoint, and that puts that little intersect point stuck on the midline of this. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my dimension tool again, and I'm going to click down, and I'm just going to click to the top, and I'm going to make sure that there's 4 inches there because that leaves me with 1 inch standing, and I am not able to reference that bottom. It wouldn't be able to make it dimension because, well, I didn't reference that geometry. So now what I want to do is I want to click Finish Sketch because I have all 3 sides and all constrained. Now I'm going to hit E for a second to just double check that. See how it'll extrude right now? Then that means that that is a closed shape. I don't want to extrude that. I was just checking to see that it was constrained correctly. All right, now I'm going to start another 2D sketch on the back. And this time I want to use the Extend tool. So I'm going to go ahead and click my Project Geometry tool. I'm going to select the same sides I did before. So now these sides are in the sketch. Now when I hit escape and I drop all those tools, if I hover correctly, those sketches and those lines from the prior sketch will show up here, and you could reference them to project them. But right now, I don't want those lines. I don't care about those lines. I'm just going to draw some of my own lines. I'm just haphazardly making those two lines, okay? Now, what I don't want to do is I don't want to have any of these lines snapping to any other point, so I'm making sure to do that. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my extend tool, and I'm going to click, and I'm just going to extend that line on out this way. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. And you see how it's got this little yellowy orange dot? That means that there's that coincidence constraint for that line to that line. That's exactly what we need. So now I'm going to do my vertical constraint again. I'm going to click over, and I'm going to click there, and it's going to line that point up with my midpoint, which is exactly what I want. Now I'm going to grab my dimension tool, and I'm going to say, hey, well, how far over is it? 1, 2, 3, and then looks like 1, 2 down. So let's go ahead and make it this way. My dimension tool, that dot to that side, I want that to be 3. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. From the side to the intersect point is going to be 3. And it moves it nicely. Now I'm going to click that intersect point and that side, and I want that to be 2 down. Cool. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish my sketch. Now I'm going to hit extrude again, hit E as the hotkey, in order to just make sure that that's a closed shape. And it is a closed shape. So now I'm in business to use my Loft tool, okay? Now, Loft is a tool that's easily fooled, so sometimes you have to try and try again in order to get it to work. So, first thing, I'm going to select my Loft tool. Now I'm going to select that I want to make a cut, okay? Now, I'm going to come right here and I'm going to select the geometry of the sketch, the lines. And you see how this area highlights when I select the line? That means that it's selecting that closed shape. Okay, it doesn't want to select this other shape, this big rectangular face here, because it's not closed. We didn't close that geometry by projecting it. Now I'm going to switch the block around, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to select the sketch line here. And you see how it turned red? And it's got this line where it's kind of previewing that it cuts it out. That's showing you exactly what that tool is going to do. That's what I want. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. And now I've got a loft block. So hopefully this video helped you out. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, take care.